Good morning. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Victoria Alexander. I use she, her pronouns, and we would love to welcome you to the Social Justice Alliance Annual Symposium. This year's, clap it up for the symposium. Thank you. This powerful gathering is made possible through the collaboration of the Bowie State University and University of Maryland Social Justice Alliance, the Second Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Foundation, and the University of Maryland Grand Challenges Anti-Black Racism Initiative. As mentioned, my name is Victoria Alexander. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a doctoral candidate in student affairs in the University of Maryland College of Education for the next 19 days until I defend my dissertation. Thank you. And I am a proud member of the Social Justice Alliance. It's an honor to stand with you today as we come together in the spirit of collective, active courage and hope.
And I am Dr. Kedrick Peters, and my pronouns are he, human, activist, and I have the pleasure of serving as the head of diversity at Bowie State University and a proud member of the Social Justice Alliance. It is both an honor and a sacred responsibility to gather once again in the name of justice, to honor the life and the legacy of first Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III. He was more than a Bowie State University bulldog. He was a beloved friend, a devoted nephew, a loyal, courageous Army officer, a cherished son. Today's program is a powerful, purposeful, and rooted in love and action. So let us rise together and get started.
We would like to welcome to the stage the Bowie State University Army ROTC Color Guard to present the colors, followed by Bowie State's very own Catherine Gongora to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing, affectionately known as the Black National Anthem.
Present on. Center, face. Forward, march. Yep.
You can take your seats. I was like, that wasn't in the script. Yeah, take a seat. Take a seat. All right, thank you, Catherine, for that beautiful rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Hopefully we all play that daily. Now I would like to welcome our beloved and faithful Dr. Matasha Harris, the Associate Dean, College of Professional Studies, Chair of the Center for Law, Social Justice, and Civic Engagement, and the Social Justice Alliance BSU co-lead to give this year's occasions. Dr. Harris. Let's give her a hand.
Greetings and welcome. On May 20th, 2017, just days after commissioning as a second lieutenant in the United States Army, Richard W. Collins III, a proud African-American leader, scholar, and senior at Bowie State University, was senselessly murdered on the University of Maryland campus by a white student. Lieutenant Collins stood on the threshold of graduation, prepared to walk in the honorable footsteps of his father and grandfather, and continue a proud legacy of military service. Posthumously promoted to first lieutenant, his elevation stands as a tribute to his commitment and a stark reminder of a life and future stolen by hatred. His death shattered the illusion that young people are immune to the deep-rooted racism that still plagues our society. In the aftermath of this tragedy, Bowie State University and the University of Maryland came together to form a powerful alliance, one rooted in a shared mission to confront hate, injustice, and equity head-on. The Social Justice Alliance, in partnership with the Second Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Foundation, stands as a bold and unwavering force that confronts individuals and systems that normalize indifference, perpetuate injustice, and inflict violence. Our commitment is clear: to educate, empower, and activate a movement grounded in equity, community, and justice. Through this work, Lieutenant Collins' legacy endures. His light continues to shine, guiding future generations with courage, conviction, and hope. Today's symposium theme, Rise Up, centers on the transformative power of grassroots mobilization, coalition building, and activism. This gathering is a space for reflection and a call to action. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to dismantling injustice and advancing Black liberation and collective freedom. We are honored today by the presence of our panelists and thought leaders, each a beacon in the fight for equity and social change. And above all, we pay tribute to the memory and to the family of First Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III, whose enduring love and devotion to their beloved son, our beloved bulldog, continue to inspire and empower the mission of our alliance. It is now my privilege to welcome two leaders who embody the heart and vision of this movement. Dr. Rashawn Ray, Professor of Sociology and co-lead of the Social Justice Alliance at the University of Maryland, and Dr. Jeanette Snyder, Assistant Research Professor for the Social Justice Alliance and the Anti-Black Racism Initiative at University of Maryland. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It is my honor to introduce a visionary leader in higher education and a steadfast champion for justice, Dr. Aminta Bro, who is the president of Bowie State University and the first woman to lead Maryland's oldest HBCU. And as we think about Bowie State being the oldest, I think we can all agree that when they're in this building, it's clear that innovation is happening on this campus and throughout our state. So great job for that. President Bro has advanced Bowie State's legacy through bold innovation, academic excellence, and a deep commitment to student empowerment. Her unwavering partnership, leadership, and commitment to the Social Justice Alliance have been instrumental in honoring the life and legacy of Lieutenant Richard Collins III, and a driving force for our collective work for equity and change. With integrity, purpose, and heart, President Bro continues to inspire and lead with distinction. Please join me in welcoming the steadfast leader of this House, Dr. Aminta Bro.
Thank you, Dr. Ray, and good morning. This is a wonderful and glorious day, and it's wonderful to see you all out here today. I am indeed Amin Tabro, the very proud 10th president of Bowie State University, the oldest HBCU in the state of Maryland. It is truly my honor to welcome you here to this historic and wonderful event today. To those who are joining us for the first time, welcome to our campus, and to those who are returning, welcome home. It's great to see you. We are honored and welcome to welcome some very special guests who are with us today. I'd like to acknowledge them at this time, and please stand when I call your name. I must start with just a stalwart leader who is helping to lead our nation through some very, very uncertain times, Congressman Glenn Ivey. Also joining us today is Nicole Austin Hillary, President and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus. And I'd like to acknowledge if there are any other elected officials in the audience, would you please stand? I don't want to overlook anyone because you are doing an amazing job, but let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you. For 160 years, Bowie State University has stood as a beacon of hope, resilience, and excellence in higher education. Our founding in the basement of a church in Baltimore in 1865, just as the Civil War was ending, was itself an act of justice. From day one, this institution has been rooted in a fight for equity, access, and the right to be educated in a world that so often denied those rights to people who looked like us, newly freed citizens. And so it is fitting that we are gathered here today on this sacred ground to continue that legacy through the work of the Social Justice Alliance. I want to thank the Social Justice Alliance for what they do not just today but throughout the year to march forward and help us continue to stay focused on social justice in our country. Would you give the Social Justice Alliance a round of applause? Could we have members stand up? All members of the Social Justice Alliance, please rise. Thank you so very much. You know, this symposium, it stands as a beacon in our shared commitment to justice, equity, and progress, co-created by two different institutions, Bowie State University and the University of Maryland, College Park. Together, though, we represent what is possible when institutions with different histories come together for a common cause. I'd like to acknowledge the senior leadership at the University of Maryland, College Park, my dear colleague, President Darrell Pines. Would you please stand? Early on in his tenure, when he got the call from this president talking about what we were trying to achieve here, he didn't hesitate. He leaned in, and together we continue to march forward to uphold the standards of our institutions and of our nation, to adhere and make sure that social justice stays in the forefront of the thinking of our institutions. So we're so appreciative of the vision and the dedication of our incredible organizers, Dr. Matasha Harris, Ms. Jennifer Alberry from BSU, alongside all the others who are working with the Social Justice Alliance. To our very, very special guests. You're not guests, you're bulldogs. What am I talking about? To our very special bulldogs, the Collins family. To Dawn, Rick, and Robin, please stand up so we may see you. Before I go on, I need to acknowledge a little bit more about where we are today. This facility, this building, this is the Martin Luther King Center. It just opened in the fall of last year. It's more than a building, it's about what happens inside this building, the learning and preparing our citizens to go out into a democratic society. And it is 192,000 square feet. So if you want to take a look, I hope you brought your walking shoes with you. I do hope that you will take a moment out to go to the second floor to see a tribute that meant so much for us to be able to install, to honor the memory of Lieutenant Richard Collins III. It stands as a testament for his legacy, and I do encourage you to take a look at that and just stand there for a moment and reflect on his life and also what he stood for. And so we are so honored to have the Collins family with us today, along with amazing change makers who you're going to see in just a moment. I thank you to all of the panelists who are here today, taking time out of their schedules to be part of the panel. And to our remarkable students. Students, where are you in the room? Students, come on, stand up. Let's see our students. It is so wonderful to see you all here today. Finish strong. We're finishing out the semester. Now, in 2017, we lost one of our own, our dear Lieutenant Richard Collins III, a young black officer, a leader, and a proud bulldog whose life was taken in an act of hate. His murder was a stark reminder that racism, violence, and injustice, they're not relics of the past. They are part of the present, unfortunately. But instead of allowing that pain and silence to silence us, we chose to rise. And so it's so fitting that we have the theme for today. Bowie State University, University of Maryland, and the second Lieutenant Richard Collins III Foundation, we are joined together to create the Social Justice Alliance, a transformative partnership rooted in healing, truth, and action. From the Lieutenant Collins Day of Service to the urban farming in Baltimore's food deserts, to these powerful conversations we hold annually, the Alliance has worked to turn tragedy into purpose, and we will continue to do so. This year's theme, Rise Up, Mobilizing for Justice and Democracy, speaks directly to the moment we are living in today. Across this country, we are witnessing a dangerous pushback and a rollback for hard-earned gains in civil rights, voting access, education, and inclusion. The struggle for justice is far, far from over. And so we must remain vigilant. We must continue to unite and come together. HBCUs have always been at the forefront of that struggle. From the days with the student-led sit-ins, protests, activism, HBCUs have been engines of social change. Our institutions were born from a fight for educational equity, and that fight continues. The legacy of social justice is embedded in our DNA. Each and every day, Black History Month isn't just a month around here. It's every day at BSU. So collaborating with institutions like the University of Maryland sends a powerful message that bridges divides and doesn't allow us to be divided. It is necessary for today. These alliances rooted in mutual respect and shared responsibility help us amplify our voices and expand the reach of our impact. And so, as the civil rights legend Fannie Lou Hamer once said, "There's one thing you have got to learn about our movement. 3 people are better than no people." Well, today, we have more than 3 people. We have 3 powerful organizations working together to bring about change. And so we're gathered today for a sense of purpose, and we're ready to do the work. We are not only remembering Lieutenant Richard Collins III, we are advancing his legacy. And so as we reflect on today's setting, the Martin Luther King Center, right here in this center, we are reminded of Dr. King's enduring vision. In his Nobel Peace Prize speech in 1964, he said, "I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant." That is the spirit that we're summoning today as we embark on this journey. And so I say to you on behalf of the more than 6,300 students at Bowie State University, and as we celebrate our 160th anniversary year, welcome to the symposium, and let's rise up together.
Thank you, President Bro. It is my honor to introduce the 34th President of the University of Maryland, Dr. Darrell J. Pines, a distinguished scholar and visionary leader. President Pines has dedicated his career to advancing academic excellence, fostering inclusivity, and promoting innovation. Since his inauguration in 2021, Dr. Pines has consistently shown his support for the Collins family and the Social Justice Alliance, recognizing the importance of our work and its impact on our respective universities and the greater community. His leadership has been a valuable part of our journey, and we are grateful for his ongoing dedication to advancing this partnership born out of unimaginable tragedy. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Darrell J. Pines.
Thank you, Jeanette. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here at the Martin Luther King Center at Bowie State University. How about another round of applause for that? You know, days like today do always come with some sadness. It was terrible and unforgettable tragedy nearly 8 years ago when we lost Lieutenant Collins on my campus, and all of the wonderful things that such a bright, talented, and upstanding young man he was and was going to accomplish in his life. But days like today also come with amazing hope, because in the years since the establishment of the Social Justice Alliance, it is clear that so many marvelous things have been done to honor his life and to further his legacy. We've had days of service. We've had programs cultivating multiracial communities and pursuing racial and social justice through the arts, through entertainment, and in sports. And we've begun a new course designed to learn about how to prevent hate crimes. I'd like to also thank President Bro for her leadership, because she did call me in June of 2020 and said, we need to partner and make this world a little bit better through the Social Justice Alliance. But please give President Bro a round of applause for her leadership. It was her leadership that created this. And of course, to the Collins family, who I've come to know so well, but I first met the Collins family through their daughter, Robin, who got an bioengineering degree at College Park. So I just want to acknowledge the Terps in the room as well. And of course, we owe a debt of gratitude to the two co-leaders from our two institutions, Dr. Harris and Dr. Ray. Give them a round of applause for their leadership. They have been tremendous partners in this endeavor. But while so much has already come to fruition, we also know that a lot more needs to be done going forward. There is a famous and often quoted statement by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where he says, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Well, I believe that is true. I also believe that justice often needs a helping hand in the right direction, and more of that is definitely due today. And that's why it's great that today we focus on civic engagement and continuing to mobilize for the democracy of the United States. For while I'm always optimistic about our potential and our future, we must also make sure that our students and our community are passionate and engaged in the everyday work that will ensure our voices are actually heard downtown in DC. Now, these sorts of discussions are always hard and can often be controversial because, as we all know, democracy is messy. It's messy. And I believe that higher education has a unique and long-standing role to play in making sure ideas can still be challenged and exchanged on campuses like Bowie State University and the University of Maryland. In fact, I would say that there's no better source of progress in our society than public universities like Bowie State University and the University of Maryland. This is where the conversation should happen. Nowhere else can so effectively we can bring together people from every background, every zip code, race, religion, ethnicity, and national origin, and have them come together to solve a global problem like our democracy. Universities are where we create new leaders, new ideas, new knowledge and expertise, and new bonds that last forever, and bring people together across the state, the nation, and the world. Because of initiatives such as the Social Justice Alliance, I am optimistic that we will keep benefiting for the public good and eventually reach the world that we all want to live in, no matter how messy the democracy continues to become. So thank you once again for being here, and thank you for being a part of this alliance that is making a real difference in the lives of real people. Let's have a wonderful symposium, and go Terps!
Thank you very much, Dr. Pines. I'm honored to now introduce Mr. and Mrs. Collins, beloved parents of Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III, to offer their welcome remarks.
Good morning. It is a wonderful morning. As I reflect as to where I was a little over 8 years ago, I barely knew my name. And to see, I apologize, and to see what we can do together. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, because I am more than a conqueror. I'm a PK kid as well. My name is Dawn Collins, and I am the very proud mother of Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III. And just for the record, I am an American. I am a Black woman, and I stand in my truth. I am also a surviving family member of a racially motivated hate crime. Let's call it what it is. Because see, your phone and your computer are microcosms as to who you are. Anyone in here, give me your phone, and I can tell you what you like, what you don't like, where you will go, where you won't go. So, I have resolved to say that in 2017, my son, Lieutenant Collins, had a modern day, or was the subject of a modern day lynching. Because what happened We actually did the research on what it took to become part of a lynching. And after reading and hearing what I call that monster was involved in, I believe wholeheartedly he was radicalized online and saw someone was the other was the source of all his dismay. I'm going to end here because, I can talk a little bit. But I do have to thank President Bro and President Pines. President Bro promised me the day I met her, I will be there, and she has. President Pines, I told you to take care of my baby, and you did. My baby girl was a student of his. Again, I can think of so many things. And this illustrious panel, wow. And I'm going to tell you, Dr. Ray, Dr. Harris, Dr. Schneider, you talk about some bad people. I'm going to end by saying this. Dr. Ray, and I said this in the green room, when he found out about Lieutenant Collins, he didn't know us, but he found a way to get to our home and came into our front door and said, I will be there with you through thick and thin. And that man has been there from the beginning. And so that's what I'm going to say, true Black excellence. Now I'm going to say this last thing in part. I'm being quiet now. We talk about mobilizing. This is only the beginning for the Collins Foundation. I'm not sure as to what we all going to do, but I do know that there's going to be more to this. So I'm going to ask all of you in this room, follow us on our social media. Grow it. Expand it. There will be rooms you're in that I will never be in, but you can talk about the life and legacy of Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not going to be before you very long. Let me just take a moment to thank you for making time to join us today on this beautiful campus in this magnificent Martin Luther King Jr. Center. Today, I want to speak to you about the urgent need and our shared responsibility. That responsibility to mobilize for justice and democracy in America. Our nation was founded on the promise of liberty and justice for all. But we know in our hearts and in our history that this promise has not been evenly fulfilled. Justice has too often been delayed or denied for those without wealth, privilege, or power. In a true democracy, justice is not passive. It does not arrive on its own. It is something we must actively pursue. We mobilize for justice when we vote, when we protest, when we organize in our communities. We mobilize when we speak out against injustice and when we stand up, not just for ourselves, but for each other. Mobilizing for justice means demanding accountability from our institutions, from the police, the courts, and our elected officials. It means recognizing that democracy is not just about elections. It's about participation every day. It's about using our voices to shape a society that reflects our values for fairness, dignity, and equality. Justice means fighting for living wages, for access to quality education and health care, clean air, and safe neighborhoods. It means challenging systemic racism, gender inequality, and corporate greed. And it means building coalitions across lines of race, class, and belief, because justice is not a zero-sum game. I believe it's important that I take a moment to read the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of the term zero-sum. It is, and I quote, a situation in which one person or group can win something only by causing another person or group to lose it, unquote. It is important that we move forward with the understanding that in order to be a healthy society, we must work to create an environment where everyone is afforded the opportunity to become the best version of themselves, so that when one of us rises, we all rise. But let me be clear, mobilizing is not easy. It takes courage. It takes persistence. And it takes faith. Not blind faith in institutions, but faith in the power of people to create change when we come together with purpose. We are heirs to a legacy of activists, freedom fighters, and everyday heroes who have shown us what's possible when we refuse to be silent. Now it's our turn to carry that torch forward. So let us mobilize, not out of anger alone, but out of love for each other, for our community, for our country, and belief in what it can become. So in closing, I say, let us stand together, act boldly, and keep pushing toward that more perfect union we all deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Collins, for those beautiful words. And as some of us know on campus know, I call Ms. Collins Mother Collins, so feel free to start calling her that as well. Before we move forward, I was informed to share that we should also acknowledge our amazing Maryland Senator Washington is also here today. So let's give Now we're going to transition to our highly anticipated panel discussion. A reminder, you can submit panelist questions via the QR code on the back of your program. I'd like to now invite our exceptional moderator, panelists to the stage at this time. And while they come up, allow me to introduce our moderator, who needs no introduction. Symone Sanders Townsend is a seasoned but still very youthful, Democratic strategist, author and co-host of MSNBC's The Weekend. She rose to national prominence as the youngest ever presidential campaign press secretary during Bernie Sanders' 2016 run, and later served as a senior advisor to President Joe Biden. In the Biden-Harris administration, she made history as the first Black woman to serve as a spokesperson to a vice president who also was a Black woman. A passionate advocate for social justice, Sanders has also worked in juvenile justice and political consulting. She is a former CNN commentator and a fellow at top universities, including Harvard and Georgetown. Symone lives in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, with her husband, Sean Townsend. We are honored to have her moderating this dynamic discussion. Please welcome our moderator and our amazing panelists one more time.
Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. I'm going to introduce our illustrious panel. I'm going to tell you, I encourage you to submit those questions on the back, but you know, this is a good panel, so we may not get to you, but I'm going to endeavor to get there. We're going to have a conversation today. I'd just like to thank President Bro, President Pines, Dr. Rashawn Ray. I will have to take a point of personal privilege to say, I was at a conference in Memphis. Was it Memphis? We were at a conference in Memphis, and we landed at the same time. And I'm waiting outside for my car, and the man comes up for the car, and he's like, do you know, where's Rashawn? I said, who is Rashawn? And they said, is that your husband? I said, oh, no, that is not my husband. What is going on? And so I Googled him, and I was like, well, I know him, but I don't know him. So we waited for him. We got in the car, we rode together. I was like, what is happening here? However, it was a lovely experience, and it was that random car ride that brought us together. He's done our show, and when I found out about this amazing symposium that goes on here, and my link sister, Dawn Collins, and the work that is happening, I was like, absolutely, I want to participate. And then they told me about the panel, and I got scared, because this is a Power Pack panel. Let me introduce these panelists very quickly. The gentleman right here, to my mic. Sometimes they try to kill my mic. The gentleman to my right here, to my immediate right, needs little introduction, but I'm going to give it anyway. This is Congressman Glenn Ivey, representing Maryland's 4th District. He brings the heat when it comes to justice, civil rights, and making government work for the people. And before heading into government, he was a powerhouse prosecutor and public servant, serving as the state's attorney for Prince George's County. Now on Capitol Hill, he's doing his thing. You can catch him this weekend on our show. Congressman, thank you for being here. Next to the congressman, give it up for Elizabeth Booker Houston. I don't know if you are following her, but you need to. She's an attorney, a veteran, and your favorite no-nonsense truth teller on social media. With wit as sharp as her legal mind, she uses humor and honesty to break down just what the heck is happening in America. And we do need it. Elizabeth, can't wait to hear what you have to say. Next, y'all really don't need me to introduce this lady, but again, I will do it anyway. Karine Jean-Pierre, ladies and gentlemen. The People's White House Press Secretary. And Karine obviously was the first Black woman to serve as White House Press Secretary. She also served as special advisor to President Biden. She is the first Black and only queer, openly queer person to hold the role, and she is the longest serving woman to do so. Karine served her country with distinction. She's been a longtime strategist, political advisor. You've seen her on the TVs, and we can't wait to see her today. Next up is our good state senator, Alonzo Washington. Senator, good to see you. He is a proven leader. He represents Maryland's 22nd district and has led transformative legislation in policy, public safety, environmental justice, affordable housing, literally anything you can ask your state rep to do, he has done. And he is very focused on just increasing funding for historically underfunded schools, championing police reform, and protecting voting rights. He brings bold ideas. He's a good jokester, I'm just gonna tell you. Thank you, Senator, for being here. And last but certainly not least is Nicole Austin Hillary. She is the president and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Yes, As the president and CEO, she leads a high-impact team in advancing the foundation's mission and strategic goals. They do not just have a conference every year, okay? The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is working year-round, pushing out policy papers, doing some of this very, very, very important policy work that we're going to get into today. So give our panel a round of applause. You know, as we... And I had a lot of things I wanted to say, but I will just note that gatherings such as this one here today, the people who currently sit in the White House at the highest levels of our government would call this illegal. Having the conversation that we are having today in this day and time, it is dangerous. And it shouldn't be, but it is, and we need to name it. For the presidents of these universities to continuously bring people together and not give any notes about some things you can't say, that is a radical act. Can you just tell us, Congressman, I'm gonna start with you, what the hell is going on?
I don't know, but it needs to stop. I mean, this is a strategic attack just across the board. Just for the Collins family, I was just thinking about this when they were speaking. So I think it was earlier this week, the Naval Academy announced that it was removing Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, from the library shelves. They're leaving Mein Kampf. They're leaving the bell curve. They're taking off the critique of the bell curve. That's what they're changing. But just in reading the summary about your son, and by the way, my son, my middle son, Julian, who serves in the House of Delegates in Annapolis, knew your son and was greatly impacted by his death. But just in reading the fact that your son was murdered by a white nationalist, white supremacists spouting hate, and that was, you were referencing what was on his phone. And I suppose that the summary that we got, if it had to come through the federal government, they would strike that. Because they don't want you to know the hate that was in his heart at the time he committed that murder. As if you just wash it away like it didn't happen because of that. And I guess they'll go back and do that for Charlottesville. And I guess they'll go back and do that. Well, Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad, they tried to strike, like white folks were catching it too, I guess. You know, I need to get to Philadelphia, so I'll take the Underground. I don't think so. That's not what it was about. So we're joking a little bit about this, but the reality is cultural and intellectual and historical attacks are foundational support for the overall attack on social justice in America right now. It's at the heart of what the Trump administration is trying to do. And it wasn't just them. DeSantis in Florida was taking books off the shelf back in, a couple years ago. But it's an overall assault, and we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, but it's an attack on all these institutions, the institutional framework of democracy, of a racially plural democracy, of a socially plural democracy. They're trying to undermine all of that. We talked a little bit about the arc of justice. I don't know if it's been in towards justice right now.
Well, let's build off that, because I do think, and then I'm gonna throw this out here, and I'm gonna start with Karine, but then everybody else jump in. I think it's a worthwhile question to ask. The president and director counsel general of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Janae Nelson, she wrote an amazing piece, an op-ed in The Nation that was posted yesterday. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I left my phone in my seat, but a part of her piece, Karine, says, we think dramatically about how democracies die, blood spilled, tanks rolling in, war breaking out, but truly it's really piece by piece. It's dismantled brick by brick, a policy here, something happening there, a press release over there, a statement over here, shutting something down over there, and before you look up, it's gone. And so what she noted is that what we're experiencing right now are the canaries in the coal mine grasping for air.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, that's a great, great piece, and that quote is so striking and so real because that's exactly what is happening right now in this moment. I'm going to start off saying that elections have consequences. And when you are not paying attention to your right to vote and to express who you want to represent you at the top, and you just let it go by, or you have issues or whatever it is, and you allow this to happen, elections will have consequences. And the thing about this is that this administration, this man was very clear about what he was going to do. Project 2025, that's what we're seeing. The congressman mentioned the Florida governor. If you look at what the Florida governor is doing, that is also a template of what we're seeing right now coming from the federal government. And this is a 5-alarm fire. If we are not out there speaking our truth, protesting, speaking out, then we are not paying attention. And this is exactly how it starts. He's heading us into a dictatorship. Putin, DPRK, that's what he wants. And normally when that starts, it starts with chaos. A little bit of chaos, taking away rights, freedoms here, making jokes about wanting to be a third-term president. We should not take any of his jokes as jokes. And so, yes, one of the things that you said, Symone, starting off this conversation is we're not even supposed to have this conversation because they don't want us to have this conversation. And I think the biggest thing to take from this is if we are fearful and we do not speak up, that is them winning. They want us to be fearful. They want us to be scared. Because then that is the goal. The chaos is that goal. And so we have to be really strategic in this moment. We have to make sure that we're taking care of each other, even if it's just lifting up our communities. However we want to show up to resist, we have to do something. And this is why I also want to thank the Collins family. Thank you so much for giving us this space to have this conversation. Thank you for showing us endurance and strength during a continuous, that will be a difficult time for a long time to come. And it has been beautiful to get to know both of you and the rest of your family. And so thank you, thank you, thank you.
Talk me off the ledge. Talk me off the ledge, because it feels like I'm anti-blackness, the same culture of white supremacy and anti-black racism, anti-blackness that murdered Lieutenant Collins feels like it is running rampant systemically through every piece of the country today, not just at the federal level, but talk me off the ledge with some policy, Senator. I'm on the edge. Get me off.
Look, I think it's best to keep you on that edge. If I'm being honest, I mean, look, this is a moment in time where we have to wake up our party. We have to wake up people. We have to wake up black folks. And if this isn't waking you up, I don't know what else will. We need folks on that edge so that we can then take the next step to make policy happen. I'll tell you, in the state legislature, we've looked at reparations for years. Since 2016, we've looked at it. We've proposed legislation, looking at it, trying to make a difference. And not until we became the largest black legislative caucus in America in the history of this country, until we had a black governor, also a black Speaker of the House. This recently, we just passed reparations for the first time, a work group looking at reparations and the social impact of reparations and what that means for us in our country. And I don't think if we didn't have this climate, that probably wouldn't pass.
Can I just, one quick follow-up? You passed reparations. What do you mean you passed reparations?
Yeah,
so there was do I need to move to Maryland?
Nah, not yet. Not yet. Now, let me not get everybody's hopes up right now. So we did pass a form of it, which is just the next step. In one of my towns in my district in Greenbelt, they passed the first ever in the state a reparations study, a work group where they got people together, professionals together to look at reparations, and now they're working through the process. This was years ago. Now the state has taken that same step in making sure we have a work group to look at reparations, similar to what they did in California, except this time we're going to actually get it done.
Nicole, talk to us from the policy perspective still, but with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, you all also work a lot with companies. You have a lot of corporate partners, and in a day and age where, again, the culture of white supremacy, anti-blackness, it also feels like some of these companies are, not even feels like, I'm literally watching them bend the knee. You know, I used to watch Game of Thrones. When Ned Stark bent the knee, he got his head chopped off. Seriously, he did everything he thought he was supposed to do, and he still could not survive. And so I'm wondering, what is the foundation saying to companies, to lawmakers across the country about policies that can and should be enacted to stave off some of what we're seeing from the federal level?
So first of all, Symone, let me also say thank you to the Collins family. Thank you for your leadership and your courage. Your courage. We need more of that today. Symone, first of all, I want to make clear to everyone, and thank you for saying that the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, which puts on the nation's largest Black public policy conference, our annual legislative conference every year, which allows our members, like Congressman Glenn Ivey, to meet directly with the public, to have brain trust, to have issue forums, so that they can strategize and talk about what we need to do as a Black community to make our community stronger and better. So I'm going to start there, Symone. And this is, I hope, going to help get you off the ledge. Okay. We have to dig into truth, information, accuracy, and policy that is going to undergird our communities and give us the tools that we need to stay strong, stay focused, stay informative, and to put together the roadmap for how we will move forward, okay? That is the good news. No one can take away from us our ability to educate ourselves, to put together policy, to put together tools, and to put together a roadmap for our own success. And that is part of what we are doing at the foundation. The foundation was founded, we're about to celebrate our 50th year anniversary next year. And we were founded to do three things, which I think in this moment are so important. We were founded to create a leadership institute to ensure that the next generation of Black leaders have opportunities and access. And that's one thing that we know we have to do in this moment. We have to ensure that we are pouring into the next generation of leaders, because they are going to be the ones who take us to the next level, who take us out of this moment and take us to a place of light. We also are here to put together policy and data and information to inform the public. And I'm going to give you a salient example. We just released something called an executive order tracker. Now, we all know there are executive orders that have been released. When you talk about the chaos that has been created, people are running rampant, asking themselves, what do these executive orders mean? Well, we put together a tracker, not just to track these executive orders, but to talk about how are these executive orders impacting the Black community, okay? We need to create roadmaps for information to arm our communities. That's part of what we're doing in this moment. And then thirdly, we are educating the public by doing things like this, by being part of these kinds of conversations, by having community conversations in different parts of the country with some of our members, which is something we have always done, and making sure that, again, the communities have the information and the tools they need to be armed with information and to make the kinds of decisions they need to make to protect and empower their communities. And let me say this about the corporations where you started, and I'm going to go back to that word courage. One of the things that happened in November after the election is that I put out a statement on behalf of the foundation just to remind people, and we are a nonpartisan organization, okay? But just to remind people of who we are and why we exist. And I have to tell you, so many of our sponsors reached out to me immediately and said, Nicole, we are going to be right here with you all. We are going to stand with you because we believe in the power of this organization and what it stands for and what you all are doing. And so what I want to say is we all have to lean into our power, not run away from our power. We have to lean into our power. Our power as an organization is to convene, is to provide policy analysis, data information, and to get that out into the community so folks can be armed. And our power is also this, to not acquiesce, to not capitulate. And remember, that is our history as a community and as a people. That is part of our power. And we have to make sure that we do not let that power, that we do not cede that power, and that we do not let others take that power away from us by continuing to have these kinds of truth-telling conversations, by continuing to put out information, by continuing to put out tools. And I'm going to say this lastly, Symone, I'm going to turn it back over. You know, I too am a lawyer, and when we get the microphone, it's a dangerous thing.
That's why I was like, y'all, who's on this panel?
I have actually had some people ask us, and you may have heard me say this, Congressman Ivey, I've had some people ask us, are we going to change our name? People have asked me, are we going to change our name? And I have said to them, if you take the black out of Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, then what are we? What are we? And why do we exist? And I share that anecdote to say, we cannot take the blackness out of who we are, what we are in our communities, and what we do.
Well, Elizabeth, I mean, I don't know, Elizabeth, look, the media, obviously, I'm now on the other side of the media landscape where I have the opportunity to host a show, and I just really feel like that the media is not up to the challenge in this moment. And many parts of the traditional media apparatus are failing to tell the story. Like, instead of calling something white supremacy, we're like, it's racial bias, you know? It can never be anti-black. You know, they've just ran with DEI. And so you have taken all of your talents, in addition to your day job, you have I like to say, an afternoon job, where you are also on social. And I mean, the content that you are creating and the network that you have established, I think is actually quite powerful, and it rivals, the content creators are rivaling what the traditional media is doing. Talk about the importance of what you all are doing, and then some of the ways that you feel like people are getting the story wrong when it comes to race, racism, anti-blackness, white supremacy, because it is, again, running rampant.
Absolutely. I will love to talk about that. And before I do also want to extend my thanks to the Collins family. We spoke earlier. For folks who know some of the activism that I do, you know I work heavy in the gun violence prevention space, because roughly 7 months after Lieutenant Collins was tragically murdered, so was my little brother Jonathan at the age of 25. And again, didn't know the person going to his car. Similar situation, the only difference is it was not racially motivated because it was a black suspect who killed him. And I looked at Robin in the green room because I said, I know people look at the parents and I see my mother and father in you. When you were up there, I see them in you. But I also look at the siblings because, as we said, we are in a club nobody wants to be in. Nobody wants to be in this. But we make a way forward. And when we talk about social media, I think of the way that it felt like the media murdered my brother again. Because within 24 hours of him being killed, the news is coming out, and they went to his social media to post a photo of him. And there's about 20, 25 beautiful, smiling, happy, in the sun photos of my brother, who was a photographer and videographer, had beautiful photos. And the photo they dug through his social media to find and post was of him not smiling in the dark in a black hoodie with his hood pulled up. And that was intentional. And even though he was an innocent bystander, everybody started writing him off as a gang member. And within 24 hours of losing my brother, I was in the comment sections. And if you're familiar with my content, you already know I was not kind. I was in the comment section, and I was going back and forth with these racist people until they deleted their comments. And my husband said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "I can't save my brother's life, but I can save his reputation." And the thing about it is, it was about a year later that my mother said, all the comments were so positive when I looked at the post. She had no idea. Completely in the dark, had no idea that the reason why the comments were so positive was because I was going back and forth, and that's before I had a platform. That's one person in the midst of grief, okay, able to still shut that down. And so I'm now grateful and blessed and honored and still shocked every day to have a platform with over 1 million followers across platforms that I can't believe people listen to what I have to say, and I appreciate it. And there's power and responsibility in that. There is a power in being new media and outside of the traditional media sphere, because I don't do breaking news. I always say you might not get it from me first, but you will get it correct. I'm not going to come out and just give you some headline about a Supreme Court case. I'm going to read all 80-some-odd pages of that case and Clarence Thomas's ratchet dissent, whatever it may be, and then I'm going to break it down for you so that you understand exactly what is going on, because the biggest power that they have over us in our community is that we are not informed about the very laws and systems and policies that affect us. And the entire reason that attorneys can charge $300 an hour in this profession that is still dominated, 90% of all lawyers in the United States are white men, the reason they do that is because they gatekeep the information from everybody else. That's how they're able to do it and put us at risk every single day. And so the main part of my platform is informing. Now, when you talk about pushing back and building that coalition, I think about Congressional Black Caucus. I am so happy and honored to be sponsored by Congressional Black Caucus PAC in much of the work that I do. It does cost money to fund these things. You talk about donors and different aspects, but when I would go to these predominantly white organizations, institutions, they had no money. But the black folks said, I can make a way for you. And so CBC PAC put me in those spaces, and they had me fighting disinformation online. They put together Black Media Row at the joint address at the Capitol. It was myself, a young man named Zachary. We had Kenneth Walden, who was also a Maryland resident, proud Maryland resident, if y'all have ever seen Kenny. Lene Vanee, who does parking lot pimping. They put us all together. Rashawn Elias, there might be some names you recognize. They put us together in that room, about 6 to 8 Black creators who they dubbed Black Media Row. And we got more views on our coverage than that man in the white supremacy house got on his speech. That's how powerful that is. 50 million views compared to his 30 million. Huge numbers. And we got the information out there, the interviews, and let people know what was going on. And so we see traditional media now attacking a lot of what's going on. Joyanne Reed getting her show canceled. That was a mess. MSNBC know they were wrong for that. We see a lot of our people being pulled out of traditional media spaces, and so what are we doing? We're going to new media. We're going to Instagram, Substack. We're going to our own websites. I know that Angela Rye and Joyanne Reed have put together the State of the People tour, which is now going to be going to people in the cities to talk to them directly and also put together a day of action. That's the kind of work that we're seeing on the content creator side, and we're seeing folks like Joyanne Reed become kind of like content creators when they move from that traditional media side and doing it very, very well. And so we just have to make sure that we step up and we keep combating the misinformation and disinformation on the internet all day. It is coming at us left, right, and center all the time. And that's the main way, is to just keep pushing forward and using all of the different spaces and not say, well, I don't have a TV show, so there's nothing I can do. No, that's okay. We can make sure that we get our voices heard elsewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, we clap for that. I stand with Joyanne Reed, but I will be at work tonight. I want to be very clear. I'm be at work. Karine started and said, elections have consequences. And I think that when we talk about elections, when we talk about unfortunately, there is going to, perhaps there has been another Lieutenant Collins that we do not know about. There is a black man, a black woman, a Latino man, a Latino woman somewhere in this country who has been gunned down, ran over, targeted simply because they fit the description. So I could, as someone that, when I got engaged in politics in this space, I was 20 years old when I really started getting into campaign work. I was 25 and I went to go work for Senator Sanders. But nowadays, and we're sitting here on a college campus, when I'm a millennial, as a young person, I'm kind of like, I don't know how many times y'all about to tell these young people they just keep on keeping on. Because they are seeing so many different things that tell them, the system just is not working for me. What are we gonna do about the young people? Glenn Ivy, I want to hear from you, and then my young people, the youngest people on the panel, and then we gonna move up. But I'm gonna start with you because you're the Congress.
You gonna start with the oldest one and work down?
You got a young spirit. You a millennial at heart, as my mother would say.
Said teaching an old dog new tricks. Is that
woof woof? Okay.
All right, here we go. Well, I do have 6 kids, and 5 of them are sons. And to the point that you were just making, there was a stretch there, I think especially, I think the last one, man, it was in Minnesota, and it was a traffic stop, and I don't think the guy was driving. Was it Philando? I forget his name.
Philando Castile was driving. It was a traffic stop, and he was a card-carrying member of the NRA.
Yeah, he had a gun, and he told them, I've got a gun. And they shot him anyway. And so my son, because, we have all the training. Police officer comes up, hands it 10 and 2, cut on the dome light, set the phone down, don't reach down. We did all of that stuff. And you can see on the video that this guy didn't do anything that violated anything like that. And so my youngest son, Aaron, said, damn, Dad, well, what can we do? How can we stay alive under these kinds of circumstances? And I didn't have an answer for him. I did not have an answer for him. Now, 2 elections have consequences. When I was state's attorney in Prince George's County, from 2002 to 2010, I think there are like 8 elected black prosecutors in the entire country. I didn't hear any response. 8 in the entire, think about that. That's not applause, but think about how shocking is that? 8? Come on. So, and we had this thing going where we didn't want, we didn't want black prosecutors in our community. We had mixed feelings about it. But when you saw all of these and you started seeing these cases, they'd go to the grand jury. Remember, they'd take them to the grand jury, and the guy would come out and say, well, the grand jury doesn't want to indict, so that's all we can do, and they would just drop the case. And people started, especially after they started seeing the videos, they started saying, well, maybe we need a new prosecutor. And that's when you started seeing black prosecutors get elected, and then white prosecutors caught on, and they're like, well, I guess I better indict these cases too. And then you started getting convictions. And so it helped to move things in a different direction, but we still have a major problem there. And then just one other quick point on this before you move to other folks. It ain't just us. I mean, if we bring it to today, and you think about what the Trump administration is doing when they're like grabbing these people. Kilmar Garcia.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, yeah.
Right down the street from here. They basically just grabbed him off the street. The lady at Tufts, didn't that look like a straight up Cold War kidnapping thing out there? And then they don't want to give him a chance to have a day in court. And they know that they're just grabbed. The 200 or something from the Venezuela, just the law of averages, you got somebody in there that shouldn't be in there, but they refuse to give them any kind of due process. Don't give them a day in court. Take them down to Louisiana or Texas, put them through the door of no return, because that's what we've got happening now, a door of no return here in the United States of America. Ship them off, send them to a place where there's a jail where they will never get out. Kilmar, they're doing all this character assassination stuff. He's a terrorist, totally fabricated, right? Then and they start, well, he beat his girlfriend. Well, look, even if he did, first of all, the judge should make the decision about whether he stays or not. That's what due process is. That's what the Supreme Court said 9-0. Even Uncle Clarence said he should get a day in court, right? But even if he did that, you can't send him to a jail forever. It's a death sentence in that prison. So we got to make sure we stand together and fight these things together, because there's racial bias attacking black folks. Now it's walking while Latino is real, walking while Muslim is real. It's all coming together from their perspective. They've linked all the dots. We've got to link all the dots too and make sure that we're working together, standing together in coalition so we can fight back against all of that stuff.
Across race and class, like Mr. Collins said. Senator Elizabeth, I mean, what we gonna talk? We gotta help our, some days I'm like, I don't know. And if I'm like, I don't know, I could imagine that some of the young people in the audience are like, please.
Look, again, I don't want to walk you off the edge. I want our folks to feel the energy that's happening right now in order for you to get engaged and get involved. Because our young people are just, sometimes we get, what does Barack Obama always say, we sit on the sideline, or we don't really feel the pain, or we don't feel it. We don't feel the energy that's happening right now. And I want our young people to feel what's happening right now so they can get engaged and get encouraged. For me, the reason I was a state senator, I was a state delegate, and now a state senator is because a young person stepped aside and said, hey, young man, I want to show you a way to get you into this position to make sure that you can have an impact on Prince George's County in Maryland. And so many times we don't see that. For me, I want to pay it forward. Everyone that works in my office is under the age of 25. All of my interns are too. I go around the county seeking young people to encourage them, to put them in leadership positions so they can thrive in those positions. Even when I was the co-chair of the police reform work group for Prince George's County in 2020, right after the George Floyd murder, I hired all interns from Bowie State University and the University of Maryland. Now, I ain't gonna tell you that Glenn Ivey stole one of them from me and had them working for him. That's how great the school is. But we gotta encourage our young people. For me, it's all about getting our young people engaged, putting them in positions of power, ensuring that they know that they have power within themselves. Even so, my intern spoke this week, who was an immigrant, spoke on behalf of a piece of legislation that I had in Annapolis that she didn't even know that I had. And she spoke so eloquently at that desk in front of the committee about what she goes through as an immigrant and why this bill would impact her. If we don't put our young people in places of power and places so they can thrive, I would say the same thing. I don't know. I welcome these young people to my town hall that I'm having tomorrow. Today is Friday, right? Sometimes you forget the days with what's happening right now. On tomorrow, I'm having a town hall meeting, and we're going to discuss all the things that this administration has done. We're engaging our young people in that process. We're talking about what's happening through our universities as well. We talked about policy earlier. One of the pieces of legislation that I have that I proposed multiple times was ban the box on college admissions. And not to ban the box on arrests, but suspensions. They ask you the question in your application, have you ever been suspended before? If I was suspended in the 3rd grade, why does that matter to you? If I was suspended in the 5th grade, why does that matter to you? I want to go to college. So many young people, 15% of those people that see that box and was suspended, they don't fill out the application anymore. We have to make sure that our young people, and we're removing the barriers for our young people to enter into college and have their power and seize their power and seize this momentum and this opportunity.
Symone, can I jump in really quickly?
Yes.
Because as I mentioned, we have a leadership institute at the foundation. It was really part of why those original members of the Congressional Black Caucus made it possible to found the foundation. We have to do 3 things. Number 1, we've got to stop talking at young people and start listening to young people. Our spring cohort of interns, I just met with them earlier this week. There are 36 of them. And I sat down with them, and the first thing they said is, what do you want to talk about? And I said, I don't have anything to talk about. I'm here to listen to you. We have to give voice to our young people. They are the ones who, as Symone said, are asking themselves, what the heck is going on here? We can't tell them what's going on. We have to listen to them tell us what's going on. That's number 1. Number 2, we have to pour into creating opportunities for them to grow their leadership. As you hear about these internships, these fellowships, you hear on the news every day about these opportunities drying up. Other organizations losing their money and their funding so they can't provide internships, they can't provide fellowships. Figure out where the opportunities exist and pour into them, because we have to provide those opportunities ourselves. And number 3, and I don't care if you have a TV show like Symone, or if you have an elected position like our 2 elected officials here, each one of us has an opportunity to be a change maker right where we sit. So I want you to think about your church, your civic association, your sorority, your fraternity, your neighborhood civic association. Figure out, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what is it that I can do in my own community to create space for these young people so that they know they are seen and they are heard? That's an obligation we all have to fulfill.
It also feels like some of us need to be willing to get our hands dirty. You know, sometimes I think we think about change-making work as, you know, we go, you know, I know my Link sisters are in here. You know, sometimes we go and we do our service activities, and we going down to the school with the young people, or we going to the soup kitchen. But we need to be willing to get into the community, have some conversation, and then apply what we are hearing. And that's the uncomfortable part. We need to take some risks, and we need to feel uncomfortable. I like to say, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not doing the actual work. We have a couple questions from the crowd. I'm gonna throw this out to the panel, and I'm glad this came in because I was gonna ask it. In today's climate, how can we protect and sustain diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at colleges and universities? College and universities, our companies as well. Elizabeth, you want to start, and then anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, I can start. So I am an adjunct professor for Indiana University School of Law. My students are getting to start late today because I'm here, so good for them. The main way, and I've been talking to a few students about this, is what we talked about, what you just mentioned about how everybody here is a change maker. Don't wait for the institutions to decide that you're going to get together and start a club or an organization or a group or what have you to support each other when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. You can do that. You can come together as a group and decide, okay, you know what? We want to make sure that we have the support system for one another so we can talk about ways that we can get the things that we need. It could be something as simple as pulling together resources to figure out where can we get some funding, where can we get scholarships, where can we get grants, and talking to each other. Going to what Symone said about coming together in the community and doing that uncomfortable part of getting from behind the screen and actually talking to each other in person and building that community. It's a low effort, easy way that you can just start right there and not have to feel so overwhelmed like you have to do, I don't know, something big and official, when you can just be there and support each other, because you don't know if the person you're talking to who you linked up with, I don't know, maybe they're related to somebody who works for a company that says, yeah, we want to go ahead and invest in this event that you want to put together, or we want to make sure that we link you up with scholarship information. And you talked about, I can't remember who mentioned sororities and things like that. I think you mentioned sororities. I know I'm a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, I will always say. Thank you. Z-Phi, so sweet. I know I am.
We're not going to do an altar call.
But any of the D9 organizations, we have so many complaints across the board from D9 organizations of folks not reaching out to get scholarship money that we're trying to give away, that we're trying to give out. So that's just one way that I would say apply. When it comes to DEI, and I'm talking about money, because I know money is part of it, when I'm talking about scholarships and grants and things, there's a lot of imposter syndrome of, well, I may not qualify for this kind of financial support. Let them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. You talked about the applications and people not filling out. There is a felon in the White House. I don't care what you apply for. Apply for everything and see what you can get. Don't close the door on yourself.
Can I also just add on top of this? It is, I hope Dr. Bro's okay with me saying this, but I saw Dr. Bro, Dr. David Wilson, and Morgan a couple weeks ago at the governor's mansion in Annapolis. And we were talking about the attack on universities, colleges and universities. And I was like, I haven't heard them mention HBCUs. And they told me that's because we've been working on it. And so the HBCU presidents, not only in this state, but across the country, I do think that they should be applauded for the work that they have done, because they done called everything DEI except the HBCU. They real quick to be like, and we're not going to go over there, we're going to go over here. So I do think that that is a testament to the fact that when you do band together, when you are strategic, when you do build the coalition, when you do have the conversations, change can happen.
Yeah, so now the national, once Columbia got in trouble and rolled over, and then Harvard got the challenge last week, and note that 2 of the 6 bullets that Trump was getting after him about was DEI source. It was about us, okay? So Harvard said no. So a key piece there is Then other universities stood up behind him and said, okay, well, we can back that up. And so one of the things that we can do is support those universities. Like if you went to one of those, or Big Ten is another one, I think they did it too. Write your school and say, hey, I'm proud of you for doing that. Another one is like for businesses. So you had all these businesses roll back DEI, and they said it's a business decision. Partly they don't want to take on Trump. Partly they think that the backlash from the MAGA side will be bigger than the backlash from us. Do you hear that? Okay, so make sure they're wrong about that. So when Jamal Bryant came out and said, okay, we ain't doing Target, yes.
Congressman, some people not clapping because they know good and well they had them sunglasses and that wrap on in Target just 2 days ago. Ladies, don't let me see you in the Kate Spade drop, okay?
Well, you know, when that Amazon truck stops in front of your house, you know, tell them to come after dark or something. So you slip out the side.
I'm not there yet. I am.
But seriously, though, use that power. Money talks. We've got money. Use it.
So, Senator, I want to take, so we have about 5 more minutes. I want to do 2 more questions. Senator, I'm going to direct this one to you, and then the last question I'm going to direct to ask each of the panelists to answer. But Senator, this question is, what role does education play in dismantling systems of white supremacy, both in and beyond the classroom?
Oh, great question, great question. Who asked that question? No, I'm joking.
It's anonymous, it's anonymous.
Thank you for the great question. You know, look, I'm honored to be up here and proud to be an alpha man of the greatest fraternity ever here. You know, somebody started it earlier. We, first of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all, right? So, look, this is a great question because, for us in Maryland, we know that they have and starting to dismantle the Department of Education. Here in Maryland, we have doubled down on education, whether it is our higher institutions or K-12 education. We have fully funded education historically more than we have ever before. And because of it, we are funding Black and brown communities. This year, there was a proposal to defund some of our community schools. Our community schools are the hardest hit poverty schools. That means that 75% of those schools, of the students in that school, are on free and reduced lunch, and that means poverty. And so for us, it's imperative that we fund those schools, we provide wraparound resources for those schools, we make sure we attract teachers to the teaching profession through this school here and through other schools throughout the state so that Black and brown people and Black men especially can enter into the teaching profession so they're in front of Black and brown students that look like them. I think that's how we dismantle systemic racism within our schools to ensure that we're fully funding our schools, but making sure the money is directed towards that Black student and that's struggling and that went through COVID and that now staying back and not doing well at home and have mental health issues too. We got to make sure we fund those schools, and that's what we have done in Maryland.
Thank you. All right, the last question, and each panelist is I want you to give me one sentence that answers this question. And Karine, I'm going to start with you. How do you maintain your joy in these times? You might get a couple sentences.
Oh, I have so much to say. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I actually had a thought before I get to that question that I've been thinking about a lot. And it's just like the basic thing that we learn when we're in school. And the question is, how do you beat a bully? How do you beat a bully? You stand up for yourself. You show them that you have power. Maybe you punched them in the nose. I don't know. But the point is, I was listening to my great panelists, and they were talking about, I think the congressman was talking about how we've seen these corporations and some of these schools capitulate, bend the knee. And that's not how you beat a bully. That's not how you stand up for what you believe in. That's not how you stand up for your community. That's not how you stand up for the most vulnerable people out there. You have to stand up and you have to speak up and you have to show your power. That is how you beat a bully, right? We learned this when we were kids. You're at school, there's a bully, they want your lunch money. You give them your lunch. The next thing, they want your bike. The next day, they're gonna want something else. That's what we're seeing right now. It's not gonna stop on the first thing that they give up, that we give up. And that's why it's great to hear HBCUs coming together. That's why it's great to hear communities coming together and the administration saying, yeah, we're not gonna mess with that. Because the resistance is going to come from us. It's gonna come from the ground. It's gonna be this groundswell. And that's how we are going to fight this. So think about it. How do you beat a bully? Now, to your question, Symone. And I'm going to try and be real quick here. So the thing to remember here is, while we are under assault and attack, we cannot let hate take away our joy. We cannot. Our humanity, we cannot. Resistance is also joy and being creative and caring about people. That is also resistance. And so that is what I am trying to do, trying to remember to not let go of the things that give me joy. One of those things is my 10-year-old daughter. She brings me joy. She actually makes things super basic for me and makes me understand like what is important in her life and what brings her joy, which also brings me joy. So we cannot allow the hate to take away our humanity. Resistance also brings out and lives in joy.
Karine, Jean-Pierre, give her a round of applause, everybody. Elizabeth, how do you maintain your joy in these times?
I cuss them out today and pray tomorrow. But no, really, well, yeah. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fact that I'm sitting here in a building named after Martin Luther King Jr., and I'm born in Memphis, Tennessee on the anniversary of his assassination. And so my entire life has been surrounded by a lot of that dreariness, that darkness. We actually, when my brother passed, my daddy chose to play Take My Hand, O Precious Lord by Mahalia Jackson at his funeral, which was also played at MLK's funeral, with my brother being killed in the same city, actually not very far from the Lorraine Motel. And so we kind of did that. And I think about that, and I know that sounds very dark, and like, how do you find joy in that? Because if you ever wanted to see what happens when a white supremacist regime takes over, look at Memphis, Tennessee. Because those white people in Tennessee have been doing it for decades. They have completely disenfranchised us, beat us down, bloodied us in every possible way. And if you go to Memphis, what are you going to find? Good music, good food, people dancing, people being cheerful, people being happy. Even though it's a very impoverished city, a very violent city, we find joy every single day. And when you grow up in that, there's no way they're going to take my joy at this point. So,
Elizabeth Booker Houston. Congressman, how do you maintain your joy in these times? You better find some joy. Not, sir.
It's going to sound strange, but I've been looking forward to this. I've been prepared for this. All of my life. When I was a little kid, I remember when Dr. King was assassinated. It's one of the earliest memories. And I remember my mother crying and said, we still have Bobby Kennedy. And then 4 months later, he was gone. But I could still see that even though all of that had been crushed down, the impact that they'd had already. How I got here was based on the impact that they'd had and how they transformed the opportunities that my parents had, who couldn't have gone to Princeton or Harvard, but they were able to work their way up in the federal government. Those jobs they're trying to cut. Dad put himself through school on the VA bill. We got our first house on the VA FHA loan. All that stuff they're trying to cut. I had a chance to get all of that. I benefited from all of that. but I knew that because I had benefited from all of that, I wanted to be sure that I would be able to give back, and that I would have a skill set to do it. And so I didn't know it was coming, but all of that stuff, working on the Whitewater hearings, being at the Department of Justice as a federal prosecutor, being twice elected state's attorney, all of those experiences, working for John Conyers, all of those experiences prepared me for this. So I'm ready, and I'm ready to fight, and I'm hoping that you are too. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? All right, let's go.
Congressman Glenn Ivey. Nicole Austin Hillary, how do you find joy, maintain joy, frankly, in these times?
So Symone, I want to go back really quickly. You know lawyers don't follow directions either.
None of them do. It's a panel full of lawyers.
I want to go back to your question about education and what do we teach. You know, I said earlier, each of you are change makers. What did we do before the schools taught us our history?
Well,
we taught ourselves, okay? We must take it upon ourselves to give to our young people the information, the resources, the history that they are not getting elsewhere. That is our obligation. That is our obligation. And not to start a war, because Elizabeth, in my earlier comment, I just said your sororities and fraternities, but now that you named it, I'm just gonna say I'm a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And one of the things we did in my chapter just last weekend was we had a Young Women's Ready to Lead conference. And that's just what we were doing. The things that we know they're not getting elsewhere, it is our obligation to give it to our young people, okay? So remember, that is also a part of your duty and obligation as a change maker. And when it comes to joy, you know what my joy is? I am digging into my blackness. I am digging into my blackness. I tell people all the time, unabashedly and unapologetically, when I was in 8th grade, I decided I wanted to be a civil and human rights attorney because I love black people. And that doesn't mean I don't love other people. That means, though, that I feel like part of my gifts and part of my purpose is to uplift the community that I was a part of and that spawned me and raised me. And so I have been looking back, and I urge all of you to look back at our history. We come from a strong people. We came over in the bowels of ships. Our language was taken from us. Our names were taken from us. And yet and still in 2025, we have black elected officials. We have the first black woman to ever be the Vice President of the United States. We have leaders of major universities. Look at what we have come from and hold on to that and get joy from that. And I have also been telling people, if you haven't, I have been spending my time going back to things like Eyes on the Prize. Go back to those things that remind us of our strength, of what young people did, of how we have overcome. And lastly, as Karine just said, and this goes back to one of my favorite gospel songs, when we don't know what else to do, we stand. When you know nothing else to do, you stand, because that will bring you joy and help us to overcome. That is where I get my joy from.
Nicole Austin Hillary. And you know what? If I sat on this stage and did not shout out to the Deltas, my mother would be very upset. So, you know, my mother's Golden Life member, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, so shout out to the ladies of Delta. Senator, you're going to wrap it up because we are over time. But this was great. Wasn't it good?
Yeah, I want to thank Bowie State for hosting us here and all the great work. Let's give it up for Bowie State. This beautiful building here, the wonderful students. To the Collins family, thank you very much. And you know, for me, I want to just go back because everybody else went back to a question. I want to just talk about Maryland.
Why do we have a
moderator? I want to talk about Maryland. I want to talk about Maryland and how this federal government, you know, wants to dismantle DEI and anti-blackness. We doubled down on anti-blackness by creating the first ever in this state's history, the Department of Social Equity and Economic Mobility, to review all of the state's activity throughout the state, so we have more procurement opportunities for black businesses, for black folks, so you have more access to our services here in the state. That's happened because of the work that we're doing here in Maryland. It's the first time we've ever done it, and this just happened this past legislative session. So thank you to our General Assembly for that. For me, you know, I grew up in poverty. I lived in homeless shelters. I was raised by a single mother of 6 kids. And for me now, fast forward, I grew up without a father. I didn't know my father growing up. But my joy is walking through the doors of my forever home with my wife, my beautiful 2-year-old daughter, and we're expecting our 2nd child in June. So that, no one will steal my joy going back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you all so much. That's our time. Give this panel a great round of applause. Thank you to the Collins family, and I will turn the mic back over. Thank you. This is a public servant. I told the congressman to come on down, and he's like, I'm gonna wait.
Good to see you, girl. All right, give us a second.
Thank you, panelists, for a powerful and thought-provoking discussion. Your passion and insights remind us that mobilizing for justice and democracy is not just necessary, but urgent. You've all issued a clear call to rise up, take action, and stay engaged. Let's carry this momentum forward together, committed to building a more just and democratic future. Please join me in clapping it up for the panelists one more time. Now, to close out our event, please join me in welcoming Ms. Jennifer Albury, the Research Project Coordinator for the Center for Law, Social Justice, and Civic Engagement at Bowie State University, and Ben Parks, the Associate Director for Student Affairs at the University of Maryland, both critical members of our Social Justice Alliance, to present this year's Social Justice Trailblazer Award.
Good afternoon, everyone. Since our special soon-to-be Dr. Victoria gave in our introduction, I am going to go ahead and skip that part, but I'm also going to add, Ben and I are proud members of the BSU-UMD Social Justice Alliance. So each year, our Social Justice Alliance recognizes the incredible social justice advocacy on campus and beyond from outstanding students, faculty, and staff from each institution. This year, we are thrilled to present 2 Trailblazer Awards. So please come up to the stage as we accept the award. The Social Justice Trailblazer Award recognizes a prominent national figure in the fight toward equity for all people. Recipients of this award embrace and embody leadership and compassion as a champion of social justice and racial equity. This year's recipients are State Attorneys Aisha Braveboy and Karine Jean-Pierre. Although State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy could not be here today, we did want to acknowledge her work as a steadfast champion for justice. State's Attorney Braveboy's leadership has created real, lasting change, most notably through her instrumental role in the passage of 2nd Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III hate crime law. As State's Attorney for Prince George's County, she not only advocated for equity in the justice system, but also has fought to ensure that hate has no safe harbor in our communities. Aisha's unwavering commitment to justice was evident in her determined pursuit on this landmark legislation, which strengthens Maryland's ability to hold every individual accountable for hate-motivated crimes. Her efforts honored Lieutenants Lieutenant Collins's memory by turning heartache into action, protecting others and advancing the cause for justice in his name. Through her tireless advocacy, courageous leadership, and deep compassion for the communities she serves, Aisha Braveboy exemplifies what it means to be a social justice trailblazer. She is a true force for equity and an inspiration to all who seek a more just and inclusive world. Congratulations.
And I'd love to invite Karine Jean-Pierre back to the stage. As we know, Karine Jean-Pierre is a powerful embodiment of what the Social Justice Alliance Trailblazer Award stands for. As the first Black LGBTQ+ woman to serve as White House press secretary, the first Black LGBTQ+ woman to serve as White House press secretary, she has broken historic barriers while using her platform to elevate truth, justice, and equity at the highest levels of government. Her career is marked by a deep commitment to advocacy, inclusion, and public service. From her work on presidential campaigns to her consistent championing of underrepresented communities. Karine leads with clarity, courage, and compassion. She navigates the national spotlight with grace, ensuring that issues of racial equity, civil rights, and social justice remain central in public discourse. Through her leadership, she not only opens doors for others, but also demands that those doors stay open for future generations. For her trailblazing achievements, unwavering integrity, and relentless pursuit of justice for all people, Karine Jean-Pierre is a deserving recipient of the 2025 Social Justice Alliance Trailblazer Award. Congratulations.
All right, let's give another hand to our Trailblazer Award recipients. Your leadership, courage, and unwavering commitment to justice and equity inspire all of us. You are so deserving of this recognition, and we thank you for the transformative work that you do to our communities. If you were with us last year, then you know we are in for something truly special. After delivering a soul-stirring performance that moved all of us, Leon Timbo was inspired to write an original song dedicated to Lieutenant Collins and the Collins family and the Social Justice Alliance. Today it's our profound honor to welcome Leon back to the stage, this time joined by the University Gospel Choir at Bowie State University, under the direction of Professor Latanya. They will perform Cage Bird. Let this moment lift our spirits and renew our shared commitment to justice as we close out today's program.
My daddy was a PK, and on Good Friday, we learned how to make things work, you know. My name is Leon Timbo, and this is Professor Wren and Bowie State University's Gospel Choir. Would you put your hands together again? Mama and Papa Collins, we love you. This song was inspired by your work. So I'm going to sing it again. Mama and Papa Collins, we love you. There's a riot in my heart, being torn apart by the pain that you caused when you lost us, saving yourself from the onslaught. I thought you had me. It was real that you had me until you saved yourself and the insurrection felt like a setup. No. Come on, Jawan. I know why the cage bird sing. His feet were bound, but not his wings. You cut him down, but you don't see how a seed becomes a million trees, y'all. Yeah. What are we gonna do when our mothers are crying and we deserve the truth? We deserve the truth, y'all. So get on up, get in motion, get on up. It's time to focus on what is love. Love ain't searching. Love's right here. Success is open. Yeah. We face a while to build our home. Tell me how long the train's been gone. That's Baldwin. Don't give me bread when I need stone. But don't give me stone, I'll get my own, 'cause we're building, yeah. What are we gonna do when our leaders are lying and we deserve the truth, y'all? We deserve the truth now. Get on up, get in motion, hey. Get on up. It's time to focus on what is love. Love ain't searching. Love's right here. Oh, success is open. Oh, get on up. Hey. Get in motion. We gotta get on up. 'Cause time is moving. What is love? Love ain't searching. Love's right here. Hey, success is open. Can we take it to church, y'all? Come on. Come on, y'all. Hey. Come on now. Success is open. I believe in you. Hey. And you believe in me. Mother shouldn't have to die, cry, and father shouldn't have to die. Yeah. So don't give up, don't give up, say. One policy at a time, one protest at a time. Don't give up, say. Hey. Oh, don't give up, say don't. Oh, we just begun to fight. Woo. Oh, we just begun to fight, y'all. Hey. Don't give up, don't give up. Come on, I think you got it. Can you sing it with us? Don't give up, don't give up, don't. Hey. Don't give up, don't give up. I believe these truths to be self-evident, yeah. That all men that all men are created equal. Don't give up, no. Don't you give up, we need your voice. Baby, we need your voice. Baby, we need your voice. Don't give up, no. One more time, Professor Red. Here we go. Don't give up, say brave. Don't give up, no. Don't give up, no. Let's take it home, y'all. Don't give up. Thank you, guys.
So on behalf of the BSU-UMD Social Justice Alliance and the Second Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Foundation, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Most definitely. Give it up one more time for Leon Timbo and the choir. Amazing. Y'all better go download his music for sure. Panelists were amazing. Presiders were amazing. Collins family, as always. Just for me, would all members of the Collins family please stand? Just so that people know who's here, because they always turn out in big numbers. So when you all see them, make sure you go up and acknowledge them. To the presidents, thank you all, President Bro, President Pines, for your continuous support. To the Social Justice Alliance, again, stand up if you're part of SJA. They just do tireless work. Tireless work. Thank you all so much. Dr. Matasha Harris, thank you so much for your leadership. This is an extraordinary event. Jennifer Alberry, all of the other BSU staff who have helped out with this, great job. And of course, give it up for Dr. Jeanette Snyder over here. Without Jeanette, we can't get half the stuff done. I just want to take a couple minutes to acknowledge a couple of things. When we talk about the legacy of Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III, you all are part of that being here today. So next year, invite someone else so that then we fill up this upper part as well. Well, I guess that'll be 2 years because next year we'll be back in Maryland. 2 years from now, we'll be here. And of course, that's part of our partnership in terms of what we do. From the day of service, going up to Baltimore to plant and ensure that there is a food garden and a food desert. From our partnership with athletics, where the video is shown at sporting events with thousands of people there, to the ROTC Lieutenant Collins Challenge, which is really, really hard to do, to the Lieutenant Collins class, which brings together students from both campuses to be in a class together to talk about the legacy of Lieutenant Collins, what we can learn about hate crimes so that we hopefully never commit them again, and also the summer research initiative under the guidance of Dean Kim Nickerson at the University of Maryland, where we bring students from both campuses together to do research with faculty from both campuses. Kim is over here on my left, on your right. This is part of the legacy of Lieutenant Collins and the Social Justice Alliance. The Social Justice Alliance is a national model, bringing together a HBCU and a PWI partnership like the U.S. has never seen before. And we cannot take that for granted. And as we think about what to do next, as you heard from the panelists, don't panic and don't operate under duress. Because when you panic and operate under duress, your power becomes diluted, and that's what they want. Be the change that you want to see. Center your purpose for progress. put your money where your mission is, and be a racial equity advocate and a racial equity broker to resist this period and advance social justice. Recognize that our state is special, that our county is special, and that our universities are special. So be special. Our democratic experiment needs us. Black boys like mine need us to create a society where they can enact and embody the legacy of Lieutenant Collins. So thank you all for coming out today. And if you were part of the panel, please come up on stage so we can get a quick picture with the Collins family. Thank you all. Yes, and there's a reception right outside. Please help yourself to refreshments, to all the good stuff.